Hello! Today we will listen to the 5 symphonic pieces that changed the way we listen to music. My name is Carlos Andrés Botero and this is Our Music, a podcast to unlock your imagination to the possibilities of classical music. Creating perhaps the most influential examples of symphonic music, these 5 composers affected history with their work. Their music is our true north. A man with many nicknames. We acknowledge Joseph Haydn as the father of the symphony, not only because he composed so many of them, but also because he made it the place where a composer's most daring and grandest ideas find their expression. Since I had to pick only one piece, then I go for number 44. One of the most creative fanfares ever to start a piece, he jumps into a first movement already depicting romantic sounds into the future, while the closing is as dramatic as it's memorable. The premiere of this piece is the exact moment in history where the classicism is no more and the doors to romanticism are wide open, and the legend of Beethoven himself starts to take hold in history. For here Beethoven took a huge leap forward and projected what the genre could really become in the next centuries. In sum, every subsequent piece owes its worth to the daring Beethoven of the Eroica. You will be hard-pressed to find many listeners who do not find Tchaikovsky's music to be as compelling and deeply human. A master on the use of structural form to convey deep emotional meanings, the role of each movement seems to be alloyed into new possibilities. But it is in the final 2 movements of the symphony where the power of Tchaikovsky's plan finds its realization. The 3rd movement starts like a scherzo, but progressively descends into a tempestuous nightmare. I have yet to see an audience that is able to resist the urge to accompany its conclusion without an applause. And then there is the masterstroke. In the craft itself, there is a new search for meaning happening in front of us. The symphony is shocking, rocking, adventurous, and as its subtitle suggests, able to convey deep emotions. We will perhaps pick other pieces, but will never dream leaving out Mahler out of this list. With him, the symphonic scale is even greater, the emotional journey even more kaleidoscopic, and the connection with personal autobiography even more profound than almost any of his predecessors in the genre. But once he realized he was reeling in mourning after the passing of one of his daughters, then the war becomes suddenly poignant, and the sheer scale of the emotions are impossible to ignore. The circumstances of the genesis of Shostakovich's 7th Symphony are surely the most intense of any symphony in history. Smuggled to the West in microfilm, the score was premiered in the US even before a performance took place in the composer's hometown. Shostakovich became a symbol of the Russian people's stoic resistance against the Nazi Germany's war machine. But the work is actually much more than simply depicting the conflict between 2 nations at war. The symphony is a hymn to the inner strength of all people living under the yoke of a totalitarian regime. There you have my choices. It is your turn now to crank up the volume and give yourselves a treat of symphonic music. Happy listening and thank you for your attention. A link to each of the pieces is posted on our website for your convenience. Please leave your comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Hear you next time.